up guys, and welcome to my kitchen. I wanted to invite you in today so that you can see firsthand how I set up my green smoothies each week. It does save me a ton of time and it makes it much easier to get my daily greens via my smoothies if I take a little bit of time when I get home from the grocery store and set it up. So the first thing that I do is I wash my greens that I bought fresh. Now if I buy something like spinach, this one is organic and it's triple washed, I won't bother washing it again. But when I buy things like kale and apples, cucumbers if they're not organic, strawberries, things like that, I definitely wash them. So I just use a little bit of lukewarm water and apple cider vinegar and give them a quick wash, and then I lay them out to dry. The next thing I do is to chop up my greens into bite-sized manageable chunks. Now today I'm using dino kale, which is one of my favorites, but you'll notice it does have quite a thick fibrous stem on it, and if you're not using a high-powered blender, you're going to go ahead and rip those stems off of your kale. These are really hard to blend, you won't get as smooth a finish, and also they can cause a little bit of digestive upset because it's just a lot of fiber if you're not used to getting it. So you can go ahead and rip those off. Now, I'm only going to do a couple because if you do have a high-powered blender, and those are like Vitamix and Blendtec, they will actually pulverize that stock, so you don't have to worry too much about it. So I'll just do a couple to show you. They rip right off. It takes only a couple seconds. You can discard that stock. You don't need it. It's really just extra fiber. You're going to get all the nutrients you need from the greens that we're going to put in our smoothies. So you can rip those stalks off and get rid of them. And then what I would do is just cut the rest up into bite-sized pieces. One tip when you're making your green smoothies is that whether you have a high-powered blender or not, you know, Blendtecs and Vitamix will basically blend anything, but anything else you're using will blend much easier if everything is in relatively similar sizes. So I always try to chop up my greens and fruit to about the same size. So once I'm finished with my greens, I would just go ahead and chunk up the rest of my fruits and veggies. Like I said, you want to make them in pretty even sized pieces. It just makes the blend go a little bit smoother. But if you do have that high-powered blender, you don't have to worry too much about that. I've already peeled my orange. I like to core and seed my apples, but once again, if you have that high-powered blender, you don't have to do that. I just like to. So I'll go ahead and do that. So once I have washed and prepped all my veggies, and it usually takes me about 20 minutes, it's not a crazy amount of time to get everything done, then I just put them in my smoothie bag. So I have my 2 recipes for the week right here in front of me. So one bag is getting 1.5 cups of tender baby spinach. Now, if you'd rather not buy fresh, or you know, if it's expensive, because organic spinach can be expensive, here's a little smoothie hack you could do. You can buy frozen bagged spinach. You get about twice as much for the same price. So that's an option as well. It's just as full of nutrients, and flash freeze it so you don't lose the nutrition when you do it this way. I happen to have fresh today, so I will do that, but often I will use frozen spinach, and also I'll use frozen fruit. If it's hard for me to get fresh berries for whatever reason, I'll do that instead. So this one gets the cucumber. All of my smoothies get about 1/4 cup of parsley, and I just eyeball it. I don't really measure. This one is getting a kiwi and half an apple. That's it. So that's one bag, and then my second smoothie for the week is a kale base. So it's 2 to 3 cups of kale, so it's really a giant handful. And throw in a little extra. A little kale never hurt anybody. It also gets an apple, so that's the complementary ingredients I was talking about. This one is getting 1/4 cup of raspberries, so a little handful. And I think it's getting orange, carrot, and ginger. So these are giant oranges. I would normally use half an orange, but since these are so huge, I'm just using like 3 sections of my orange. And I have already took the tops off of these carrots, but I will cut them into more usable chunks to make life a little easier on my blender. And that's my second smoothie. I put a good sized hunk of ginger in all of my smoothies, but if you don't like it, it can be pretty spicy. You can leave that out. You don't have to do it, or you can use powdered ginger as well. And then once I have all my smoothie bags made up for the week, I won't put you through watching me make them all. I would take my lemon and I would half it or quarter it if they're huge, like this one is. And make sure the seeds are out of it. And I would just squeeze my lemon right in the smoothie bag. It's okay if you have a high-powered blender sometimes and the lemons are organic, you can throw the whole skin right in, but I'm not going to do that today. So every single bag gets a lemon. I find if you're new to green smoothies, or even if you just don't love the taste of the more bitter greens, like spinach is super mild. So if you're just starting out, that's a great place to start with baby spinach. And also baby kale is a lot more palatable for people who are just starting than like dino kale would be. But adding lemon and ginger really cuts that flavor, and I find that's a good way to start. You can also add a little more fruit if you prefer a sweeter blend. It's totally up to you. If you're trying to lose weight and you're watching your sugars, I would just like take it easy on the fruit. However, you can certainly throw in a few more berries or the other half of the orange. And another little trick I've used with beginners is to put a couple drops of stevia. So there's lots of options as far as that goes. And so now I have all of my green smoothie bags done for the week. I will keep 3 or 4 in the fridge and I'll freeze the rest. They thaw really, really fast, so I just pull them out in the morning, let them sit for 20 minutes, put them in the blender, and I'm off. Now, the trick to a nice blend with a green smoothie is to blend your greens first. And this is a practice I would really recommend getting used to, especially if you're not working with a high-powered blender. So your greens are going in first. I'm gonna throw some spinach in as well, just because I can. And then you're gonna blend that with your base. Now, usually I'll just use water, but if you're just starting out, you might want a little bit of a creamier smoothie. So almond milk is a great choice. Coconut milk is another choice. Coconut water can be an option. I don't like to go too crazy, so like I said, it's usually water, but for today I will use almond milk. And then you just blend the greens. And then from there, I would add the rest of my ingredients. Now, if you're using a blend tech like I am, you can skip that step and just throw everything in. But otherwise, I would blend the greens first. You'll just get a nice creamy smoothie. Some experts say you can chew your green smoothie, but hopefully you don't have to. I haven't met too many people yet who enjoy chewing smoothies. So then I just pop the rest of my ingredients in there. I'm out of ginger, but that's okay. One for the dog. And my berries. Like I said, I'll often use frozen fruit, but I just happened to have some fresh berries. And my lemon. And my cucumber. And then we blend. One time through my blender, but if you didn't, you can just put it through again until you get a nice smooth consistency. And while that was blending, all I did was bag what was left of my greens that I had chopped up. So I have an extra bag of kale, and I put my parsley in a little baggie. I'll leave the spinach as is because that's easy. And so in about 30 minutes of work total, I've got my 7 smoothie bags, I've got greens all ready to go for salads or for stir fries or whatever, and I made myself a green smoothie. So I hope this really helps, and here's to your health.